You mentioned earlier about being a property manager, having thick skin.
Yeah.
In this business, you often have to be able to laugh at yourself or be able to laugh at the situation. There's always something new every day. What's an experience that you've had recently that was like, oh, that's something new?
I always want to say, I think I've seen it all, but sometimes you just get surprised by certain things, right? So I'm trying to think if there's anything in particular. I can tell you right now, ESA animals are kind of a big deal. What I try to help owners understand is there's a difference between a pet and an animal, and ADA animals are also different. So one of the things I educate owners on and other property management companies around the country is that an ADA animal, I'm going to ask you, John, what is an ADA animal? There's two.
Oh, so what's the definition?
Yeah, well, what's an ADA? Yeah, so an ADA, what's ADA?
I don't know.
So ADA is a physical disability, right? So you're either blind, and I can see that you're blind, or you're deaf, and it's, we can see that somehow there's tools that allow us to know that you're deaf, or there's some physical disability that I can see. There's only two animals that are allowed for ADA, and that is a dog and a horse.
Okay.
A small horse, a miniature horse. But ESA is different. ESA is your emotional support animal.
Okay.
And that is also now protected by the government, right? By federal laws and HUD. So ESA animal can be anything. And we've heard some of the stories, right? We've heard peacocks and on planes and snakes. And it can be anything. So an ESA animal truly can be any animal. And but one of the things is we take precautions. Another system that we use is we actually have a pet screening process that we use. It's a third-party application. So if somebody comes to us and says, well, I have an ESA animal, and they have to actually get screened. They have to provide a note from the doctor. We don't do any of it. It's actually all done third party. So they verify that it's an actual ESA animal and that's not a pet. And so it meets all of those qualifications. If it does, then we have to allow it by law. And that's sometimes a mistake that owners forget to do, because if they can't charge a pet fee for it, and you can't charge pet rent because it's not a pet. It's an ESA animal. A pet is different. So pet, you can charge a pet fee or pet deposit or pet rent. And if they don't follow under those qualifications, that ESA animal now becomes a pet. And so we always get crazy requests for pets or for ESA animals, and people trying to pass off a pet as an ESA animal. And we've had one person who had several emotional disabilities, and like 15, and wanted a cat for each one. So and supposedly had a note for each particular cat for each of the disabilities.
Okay.
That's kind of crazy.
That is really crazy. So
how did we handle that?
How do you handle that?
Well, I can tell you that all 15 weren't ESA animals. So there comes a point where it's one animal can cover several of your, whether it be anxiety or, there's a myriad of, things that it could cover. So we only allowed two, and the rest were, we didn't allow her because it actually exceeded what the owner would allow. So that's the other thing. Owners can dictate. And we also manage properties that are in townhome associations. So there are limitations on how many pets are allowed or animals. And so it kind of it was too many, because not every single one of them was an ESA animal. So then it became over the limit of pets.
Yeah.
And so that we couldn't rent.
Yep. Yeah, that's, I think, a huge issue, a huge concern that people have these days.
It is. It's pretty scary.
That's nice that you found this company that will screen them for you.
You want me to know it?
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's free, so it's free for anybody. It's called petscreening.com.
Okay.
And so as a property owner, if you manage a couple properties and you're like, gosh, this is something I'd like to engage with, you can go to petscreening.com. I honestly wish I invented this, because I feel like I'd be like a bazillionaire. But you can go there and you can register as a property owner or property management company, and you register your company. It's completely free. It will cost only the applicant $20 for the first pet and $15 for the second, and then $15 thereafter, depending on how many pets you allow, only if it's a pet. So they actually have the opportunity to screen the animal first, providing the information. And if it's not an ESA animal, then they have to pay the $20.
Okay.
And then if an owner has in place or a company has in place a pet fee, then they have to pay that pet fee as well. So just like when you apply for a property for rent and you have to pay an application fee, you're pretty much paying an application fee for your pet.
Okay.
So we're checking references, we require vaccination records, photos, and it's kind of funny. You get a PAW score, which is, when you get a FICO score, it's the same thing. And what we're looking for is the references are really important to us, but also vaccination records are very important. So that's a requirement for our company, because you just never know what could happen down the road. And that's the one thing I believe in risk mitigation as much as possible. And that's one reason why people hire us, is that we have all of these tools in place and all of these processes in place to handle that. And so we know what to do when encountered with a certain situation.
Want to hear more on this topic? Click the link below for the full episode of Maximizing Your Property Value.